My name is Lucia Khaled. I'm originally born in Mexico. I live here in the U.S. My original name is Lucia Judith Sarko Kosgaya. That's my born name. My married name is Lucia Khaled. And I'm originally from Mexico, which is south of, it's Latin America. My mom's name is Ruth. My father is Jesus. I'm the youngest of four. I have three older brothers, and I'm the only girl. Growing up, we grew up very Catholic. We're traditional Catholics, going to church every Sunday. My mom makes sure that at least I go to church every Sunday, and it was a must-do thing to go. It was the social thing to go. Yes, my mom is from the south of Mexico. It's a state called Campeche. And my father is from the north of Mexico, which is closer to the U.S. and the border. It's called Chihuahua. And my father met my mom by working, so he had to go to the south, and to the south of Mexico, and that's how he met her. My mom is from a very small village in this city. And my dad is from a big town. So they actually fell in love. In 6 months, they got married, and my mom moved to the middle of the country, which is where I was born and my brothers were born. My father is a mechanic engineer, and my mom is a homemaker. I have three older brothers. The oldest of them is a doctor. He's married to Panamanian, also from Latin America. She is also a doctor. My brother, the middle of them, he is chemical engineering. Currently, he lives in Canada. And the youngest one is in Mexico. He really didn't finish college, but he is more into business and stuff like that. So he lives in Puebla, where my parents live. Like I said, we were a Catholic family. We just, we moved to the middle of Puebla. My dad got a house. That transition was very stressful because we moved away from everybody. So we were only us, and that's it. I grew up in this place for the next 20 years. I grew up there until I got married and I moved to the U.S. Puebla, as Mexico, it's, I will say, almost 99% Catholic. Where I live was one of the first cities built when Cortez and, Mexico was discovered by Colon and the Spaniards. That's one of the first cities that was built. And so you can find a church in every corner. And this is true. You go to the next corner, there's another church. So it's very conservative and very Catholic traditional, not Orthodox, but just Catholic, just traditional and very conservative. Like I said, my dad, he was not a very religious man. He does believe in God. He does, follow the rules and the etiquettes of what the religion is, but he wasn't practicing Catholic. My mom is. My mom is, the priest is in a higher place. The priest is the one that, gives you advice on what to do, what not to do. Like I said, she goes to church every Sunday. And even for us, she used to tell us, if you don't do this, then you won't go to church. Like if you don't wash your socks, for example, you don't go to church, you won't go out with your friends. That's something that she will say to us. I mean, going to church was a must. If we wanted to do any other social thing, we had to go to church. So it was very strong and power-willed. I also went to Catholic school. it was not the regular school, it was just like religious school, and it was run by nuns. That was a terrible thing. I mean, I love my family and, you know, everybody there that is Catholic, but going to the nuns, I think was not a pleasant experience, and we had to go. I had to go every Thursday, and they used to make us make, you know, drawings about, you know, Jesus and things like that, and I just had this thing that I never liked them. I never liked the way they treated us, because they will be like extra strict, and when you have questions about the religion, like for example, where does Jesus come, or, you know, who's God, or things like that, Catholicism has a block, right? There's like a wall, and you're not allowed to ask questions. You're just allowed to believe, and that's it, which is different with Islam. The difference is that it's mixed with culture. It's mixed with the culture of before the pre-Catholic or the pre-Spaniard conquered, right? So there's a lot of beliefs on saints. There's a lot of still everything is left, sometimes not even to Jesus, but to the saint of the town. Or, for example, they will have different baby Jesus called different names, and then each person will pray to whomever is convenient to pray. Like, just an example, there's one saint that is called San Antonio, which single women will pray to find a husband. So, I mean, they will find just, you know, there's a lot of saints, more than being focused on God and Jesus, like in Rome or in the Orthodox Catholics. It's more like a mix with gods that they used to have before, but they changed them into saints, so the population will convert to Christianity. So if they had the god of the rain, let's say, right? The Spaniards changed the name of that person and put the name of a virgin, so the people will convert to Christianity, convert to Catholicism, and come to church. So it's not for me, it's not a true like Orthodox Catholics, like there is in Jerusalem, for example. The Mexicans, actually, they're called Aztecs. That was the main society before the Spaniard came to America. So it was the Aztecs who lived there. They have their social life. They have their own systems of living, right? There are levels from the peasants to the kings to the governor to the priest, and they had just gods, you know, like the gods of the rain, the god of fertility, the goddess of they have this god from corn, because corn in my country is the base of food. Corn used, I mean, now of course with the time has changed, but in the beginning, corn is the base of food, and sometimes it was the transaction, the coin for transaction. So they had these different gods. So when the Spaniard came, they destroyed many of the temples, they destroyed many of the things, and then they, with their weapons and disease, because they brought disease to the Aztecs, sickness, yeah, like chicken pox and stuff like that. Chicken pox, the one you get little pimples all over.
We say chicken pox. We say flower sickness.
Yeah, they brought it. We didn't have it, and they brought it, and then they, a lot of people die from that. So when they saw white people coming to the country, to the Aztec Empire, I think it caught them by surprise. So they didn't really retaliate or treat them as enemies. But then, as more Spaniards came to the country, they started to convert them to Christianity, and like we're mixed. Like, for example, in my family, my mom, her family is mixed of Indians from Mayans, which is on the south, and blacks. And my dad is mixed of Indians and Spaniard. So that's why our looks is not totally, indigenous from the country. So you can tell, you can see the difference between one and another. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you can find somebody that is really rich and looks, indigenous, and you can find somebody that is really poor and is blonde with blue eyes. It's exactly the same conversion system that they had, right? They had pagans in like Jerusalem and the Romans, right? They were pagans, and they have a lot of gods. But when Jesus died, and they wanted to convert everybody else, then they mixed everything so people will be easier to practice Christianity. So the same thing happened in the Americas. All America, Latin America, South America, it was the same thing. They took their own gods and switched them into a virgin, or this is going to be the Jesus of this mountain, for example. So the indigenous will have, instilled in their minds is their God, but in the mind of the Christians that came to convert them, they're practicing Catholicism. So it's not the real deal, I will say. Here in the U.S., Christmas is all about Santa Claus and the gifts under the tree. In my country, it's about praying. They pray that day. My mom, for example, the youngest of the family has to place the baby Jesus on Christmas, and they pray. And we used to go to church that night, and then it's a family night. Everybody eats together, and then after that, then you can go whenever you want. But it's a family function, and it's a religious function. It's not about presents. We acquired the presents later on, but it was actually, it's more a religious thing. Yeah, it was like Sunday school for Muslims, right? That you go to the mosque and they teach you the basics of Islam when you're little. So it was kind of like that. My mom was, she started going to these Catholicism classes, and they had special classes for the kids. So that's when I used to go. It was a convent for nuns. So the nuns will teach us, like Nuhu story, the Noah story, and Job story, and just Bible story, Bible time. That's what we will do. And then we will used to draw. I'm not a very good drawer. And one thing that sticks in my mind until now is that one time I draw probably Jesus and the cross or whatever, and I show it to the nun, and she looked at me. I make stick dolls, and she looked at it and she's like, "This is horrible. This is so." I was like 7, 8 years old. This is just terrible. What, I mean, you call this drawing? So that sticks in my head. It sticks forever. So it wasn't very pleasant. I didn't like to go. Yeah, we don't go on Sundays because Sunday's church day. So we used to go with my mom on the afternoons on Thursdays. We used to go on Thursdays, yeah. Yeah, she was just a worshiper. She didn't, she would just take the classes, but she's very Catholic. When I convert to Islam, she actually went and talked to the priest. Like kind of like to make sure I was not going to hell. Okay, I went from the primary school to high school. I went to the same schools that my brothers went. So the elementary school was the name is Escuela de Guelatao. That was the school name. It's 6 years. Then from there I went to the middle school, which at this point they're all public schools. I never went to a private school. They're public schools, and it was called Escuela Federal, like federal school number 1, number 2. So I was in number 3. So that's where I went for the middle school. And high school, it's called Colegio de Bachilleres, and it's also a public school. And in my country, public schools are very, very good. The system is almost as good as the ones here in the U.S. So they prepare us very good in primary school. And then after that, I went to college. I went to engineering and textile engineering, and I was there for 2 years. Between that time also I worked in a factory with one of my cousins. I was in charge of the lab, the tincture lab. They used to do the fabrics for the jeans, for Guess, Calvin Klein, all of these brands. They make them in Mexico, the fabric, and then they also put together the jeans in Mexico, and then they bring them to the U.S. to have them stamped with the brand name, and then send them back to sell them again. So I was working there, and I was going to college. So I worked nights, and I went to college during the day. That was the time when I met my husband. So I only did 2 years of college, and after that, in elementary school, the first year I was very smart. Let me tell you why I was very smart. Because my mom put me in a private kindergarten. So in the private kindergarten, they teach us how to do everything that you're going to do in first grade. So first grade, I was very good. My grades were very good, but my behavior was terrible because I was bored. So I would bother everybody. And then from there, I would say that I was like a, B, not so much A, maybe a B student. But see, in my house, my mom with 4 kids, at that time, 2 of them going to college, my education wasn't the priority. So, and in my country, now it's different, it's getting better, but at that time, women, like in many Arab countries, are, they're thought that you're just gonna get married and take care of the kids and take care of the house. So why would you put too much effort into school? So school wasn't something, prioritized. Cleaning the house was a priority, but doing school chores and things like that was a second thing. So during middle school, I think it was more like the social thing to do, just be with the friends and started wearing makeup. And I was always the tallest of my class. So I was not considered a bully, but people will not mess with me because I'm tall for Mexican standard. I'm tall. Here I'm average, but back home I was always from the tallest. And high school was experimentation. School-wise, I was pretty good. Math has never been my strength, but everything else like social studies, chemistry, all of those things I really liked. And in high school, we have to take selectives, which takes us to what we're gonna do in college. But I want to be a doctor because my brother is a doctor. So I really liked it. I wanted to be a doctor. So I took the electives of health, and I did wonderful. But when I came to take the test for medical school, since I was not very good in math, I didn't went through the medical school. So my next option was engineering. So that's what I did. A sad thing, I think for me, goodbyes are always sad. And especially elementary school, when you spend 6 years with the same people and then you just move on to the next level. Some people go different schools. Losing my friends was a very sad thing because they were main focus of my life. Again, like I tell you, in my family, I'm the youngest and the only girl. So my parents were busy with other stuff, with my brothers, trying to put food on the table, trying to pay college here, college there. So the youngest of my brother is 8 years older than me. So I am, let's say, right now I'm 33 years old. The next of my brother is 41. So I kind of grew up by myself. So my friends were like the best thing ever. So I think the sad part of everything was that. And how can I say? Another sad part during school time was not making it into medical school, because I really wanted to do that. And I knew that my parents will be really proud of that, and my older brother will be really proud of that. My older brother kind of acted like my dad. My dad was always very busy working. So even though he was home, he was not always present. And my mom had to also do work. She used to sew, and she made beautiful dresses. So my older brother was the one who take care of me. He will take me to parties, college parties. He will take me with him and his girlfriend. He will take me to do work with his friends. He was like my second dad. And I think from disappointing my dad to disappointing him, I was more afraid of disappointing him. So that was a big thing for me, when I was in. One of the things that you learn from America society, from TV and stuff like that, it's living on your own, right? Here you're 18, you're out of the house. When I was about 18 and I was working and I was going to school, so I thought I can do it. I can live on my own. So when I told my parents about it, my mom told me, listen, if you leave this house without being married, you're out. You are not going to be my daughter. It's not like she's going to disinherit me, but she's just going not to recognize me as her daughter, because none of my family, the girls, will do that. It's not something that is seen proper in the society, not just in my family, in the whole society. So marriage is a very important thing. When I was getting married with my husband, my mom asked me, because I got married very young, my mom told me, listen, if you're going to marry, you're going to marry forever, because I'm not going to have a divorced daughter. So until now, like all my brothers are married for a long time. I'm married for 12 years. And so she said, if you're going to marry, you have to marry forever. So, that you have to. That's a must. And whoever doesn't it's not bad now, but it's still seen as something not proper. You still see people like, hey, that's the person that they're living together. Or my brother and my sister-in-law did it. They started living together, and when my mom found out, it was hell for my brother. So after that, they married. Like, I think they lived together for 3 or 4 months. And then once my parents find out that he was spending nights there and things like that, it's like, you guys have to marry. So they arrange a civil wedding to get married, and then they can live together. I think it's the culture and the fear of I think of the fear of God too, but it's more the culture, because I personally love the Aztec history, and I have read a lot of books about it, and the culture was like that. The culture was that you're a virgin when you're married, you go with your husband, and wherever your husband goes, you go. Whatever your husband says, you do. So that comes from more from the Aztecs and the culture than from the religion. I guess the religion just came to tie it out, but it was something that you have to do. And there was arranged marriage also before time. Like in the Aztec, it was arranged marriage. The families, when they were born, they already decided who was going to marry who. That changed with Christianity, but it was like that. The families, for example, they used to be neighbors, and they had kids. They decided, okay, we're going to marry our kids, kind of like an Islamic way. So when I hear people talking about Mexicans or Hispanics as Americans, and don't get me wrong, I like America. This is a very, very good country, but it's not the same. Our culture is not the same. So that's when my husband told my mother-in-law that she was marrying me, and he told her where I was from. They thought, oh, she's American. She's American. She's going to divorce at the first problem they had. She's gonna do things like this. But this is not. I'm not an American. I'm Mexican. So my culture is different. After college, I work in this factory. I worked there for 2 years. Then after that, I met my husband, and then things happened so fast. I didn't work, and I have not worked since I came to the U.S. Before I was Muslim, I didn't really know about Islam. The only thing I knew about Islam was about the news. The beatings of women in Saudi Arabia, that women in Saudi Arabia are not allowed to drive. At that time, it was around 1890s, there was a movie by Sally Field called Not Without My Daughter. And it was about this American married an Iranian. And then, he's very nice here in the U.S. He's the perfect husband. But once everybody moves to Iran, it's totally a bad thing for her. He beats her up. He treats her bad. He makes her wear the burqa. So it was that gave us that bad side of Islam. So that's what I knew about Islam. I didn't knew any Muslims. I didn't knew any person out of Mexico, to tell you the truth. The only one was my sister-in-law, which is from Panama, which is also Latin America. So I didn't know anything accurate about Islam. I only knew the bad part. So I'm in college. I stopped working, and at this time, my life, it's a party. College, it's party. You go to school. Then weekends is, you go party with your friends, and that was my life. And one of those parties, one of my classmates from college had a birthday in his house, so we went. And he also worked in a factory that my husband visited from the U.S. And I think it's just destiny, or like Allah's will. I think that's what it was, because my husband was going to go somewhere else, but the person that was going to take him somewhere else stood him up. So then he called my friend, asked him, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's like, I cannot go out. I have a party in my house. Do you want to come over? Engineering in my country is a men's thing. There's not many women. The percentage of women in engineering is very low. So then my husband asked him, how many girls is there? He was also a single guy. How many girls is there? And the guy said, 5. He's like, oof. He's like, okay, I have nothing to do. I'm already ready. I'm just gonna go. And he's like, okay. So then he came to the house, to the party. And that's how I met him. And for some reason, I don't know, I think it's just Allah's plan that I had always been very good in English subject. English as a second language was always my ace. So I had, some knowledge of English. He didn't speak any Spanish. So we started, this conversation, and he had to leave the next day. So we just exchanged numbers and left. And at that time, I as a non-Muslim, I was dating. I was, going to parties, and, I met other guys and stuff like that. And so, it was just like another guy that I met in the party and give me his number, and that's it. Well, like about a week later, he called me. And so then we started talking. And we started talking and talking and talking. And we talked so much during 1 month that his bill came up to $600 in 1 month. Because we talked for like hours on the phone. Then he said, I'm gonna come back. Can I see you? And I said, okay. I said, but you know what? If you want to see me, you're gonna have to come to my house and pick me up. And let me tell you something. In that party, I always go out with my friends, very close friends or cousins. I had never really go out with guys to a discotheque or live in a party with a guy, because that's not how we are. That's not how we are. We always protect each other. We go in a group of girls and come back in that same group of girls. Nobody goes with anybody. That night, it was the first time that I leave the party with somebody, and that one was my husband. And I don't know why. My friends asked me, are you sure? Call us as soon as you get home. And I'm like, yeah, I think you'll be okay. So he took me home. I had to teach him some manners because as an American, I guess, dealing with American ladies, he just parked the taxi cab, stop, and he's like, okay, well, bye. And I'm like, bye? You have to walk me to my door. I said, you don't just say bye. You have to walk me to my door and wait until I get in, and then you can go. So then he was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, So then he did. So that's one of the things that, being, I guess, only girl, my brothers and my dad had always taught me that the guys have to, they have to work for you if they really want you. So that was, that was just funny. I always say that because he now he's very different dealing with my family and our culture. But at that time, he was just, okay, well, bye. I'm like, you have to take me. So so after that, we start calling and talking and everything. And then when he came to my house. So he said, yeah, no problem. I'll come to your house. I meet your parents. I don't have any problem with that. So he came and brought presents for me, flowers. So my parents were ecstatic. They were so happy. But they didn't like the age difference. My husband is 13 years older than me. And, at that time I was 20. So we went out, we went to the mall, we went to eat. He treated me very nice. Everything was very good. So we repeat this almost every month at the point that we got to fall in love, actually. And during this time, I've seen him pray. He practiced. He is very a practicing Muslim. He's a modern Muslim, but he practiced. So the first time I saw him pray, I felt so like I didn't belong there. Like I was an intruder on his prayer. So then I asked him, what is that you're doing? He said, well, I'm praying. I said, what are you praying? Well, I'm Muslim. And I said, what is that? So then he explained to me. And at that time, it was the craze. In my country, I started the craze of the personal computers. And so he brought me one from here. My family is not, they're not rich. My family were not, we couldn't afford a computer, that's for sure, at that time. So he took the effort to bring a computer to my place so I could communicate with him. I could still do, college. And that's how I started learning more about Islam. So then he brought me books. And at this time, I learned about Islam, but I also wanted to study my own religion because I didn't want to commit to something that I was not knowledgeable enough, and also because I didn't know enough about my own religion. I just knew what they tell you in church. So I started going to church, listening to the sermons, and reading the Bible. Then I learned there's a difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament, and that difference is Jesus. That's everything changes after Jesus is crucified. And then I discovered that the Old Testament is actually almost the same as the Quran. They have the same characters, the same history and stories. So I found that very peculiar, and that made it the transition for me to believe on what Islam, the basis of Islam, was easier because of that. So of course, when I started going to church more often, my mom was so pleased. And another thing that she liked is that Muslims do not drink, right? So if my husband will take me out, she knows we were not going to drink, because in my country, there's no party if there's no drinking. So that's, it can be a child's birthday party, but you're gonna find alcohol in that party. So that's something that they loved, that there was no drinking when we go out. Of course, no drugs, things like that. So they feel pretty secure, having me to go with him. So when I convert, I think I got my husband out of, I caught him by surprise. Because what I told him, I said, I have learned about Islam, I have read, I have compared, and I even talked to the priest in my church. I asked questions that he could not answer, that Quran answer. So I think I want to be a Muslim. And he said, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I want to be a Muslim. We were already 6 months into a relationship. We were boyfriend and girlfriend. And so I said, I do really like it. I do really enjoy the straight, the religion is so straightforward. There's no around, it tells you, you do this, you don't do this, and that's it. And the Catholicism is not like that. You just, they never answer you the questions. You just stay okay. So what is the reason for kneeling in the church? Oh, you just have to kneel. That's the way it is. You don't have to ask. And in Islam, they will explain to you why you don't drink, why you have to cover, why you have to, not eat pork, right? So that's what I liked. So when I decided, I told him, and he's like, okay. So my first shahada was with him, just me and him. I became Muslim, just like that. And after that, we decided that we were going to get engaged. And he was very afraid because his family didn't know completely that I had become Muslim. And he's from Bangladesh, and they're very traditional Muslims. So, and particularly in his family, my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, they have been arranged marriage. So they were expecting him to be an arranged marriage too. At that time, his dad was very, very sick. He was already in the, time of passing away. And so he said, I don't want to tell nothing to anybody. I want to wait because I don't want to bring something else to the plate. Everybody's dealing with my dad's disease and the fact that he's gonna pass any time. So I said, okay. He went to see his parents before his dad passed away, and I was so scared because I know how important a promise is in Islam. When you promise something, you have to do it, otherwise it stays there like you didn't do it. So I was so afraid that his dad will make him promise that he will marry somebody from there. I never had those rushes, nervous rushes, but during that trip, those 2 weeks that he was there, I break in rushes because I was so afraid. His dad was in deathbed, and knowing him, I know he was not going to break a promise like that. So I was just praying and praying and praying that please just don't ask him something like that. So alhamdulillah, he came back and everything was good. He didn't have to promise anything. So after that, we decided to arrange the wedding, and his mom didn't know. His family didn't know, because he knew that he would tell them, it will complicate more the situation. So we just decided to get married in Mexico. We found a mosque in Mexico City. That was 1999 when we found the mosque, and we got married in 2000. We got married in June 2000, and I got pregnant right away. So our plans were getting married, move to the U.S., go to school, and then have babies. But then we got married, get pregnant. I had to stay in Mexico for my whole pregnancy because my brother would not allow me to come here. I don't know anybody. This is a different country. They were not pleased by the fact that I was stepping my foot down to come here with him and marry him. So they said, okay, at least you have to stay for the pregnancy, and then we'll see what you're gonna do. They were still planning on convincing me not to come here. So my marriage was an Islamic marriage, but for my family didn't count. For my family, I was not married because it was not a Catholic marriage. Yeah, and my mom being the only girl, me being the only girl, she expected the white dress and the entrance in the church and all the family and, everything going on, the party. There's a protocol to follow for weddings, right? You go to church, you get married, then everybody goes to the party, and then the couple enters and everybody claps, and that's the way. Our wedding was so different because we had a ceremony before the party, but it wasn't in the church, so people were just to come directly to the place. So then, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know when to clap or when to laugh or what to do. Do we eat? What do we do? So it was very funny. First of all, when I decided to become Muslim, everybody thought he brainwashed her. He just told her that she's going to have a wonderful life over there, and that's why he's marrying her. She's marrying him. Everybody mentioned that movie to me, and that's why I mentioned it, because there was no person that when I told them we were going to get married and that I had become Muslim, there was no person that didn't mention that movie to me. Don't you know that can happen to you? How you know who is he back there? What do you know if he's telling the truth? What if he has 3 wives and you're the 4th one? Why did he beats you and keeps you in the house and never lets you out? So all of these things will come. My cousins, we're a very close, knit close family. And everybody was scared. My parents, my mom and my older brother, offered me, and I'm ashamed to say this, but this is how much they wanted me to stay. I was pregnant with my baby, and they offered me, he said, okay, listen, we will help you. We will help you with college. We will help you with the baby. Just don't leave. I said, but I'm married. How are you offering me this? I'm married. So he said, it doesn't matter. For us, you're not married. It didn't matter to us. So we will help you as a single mom to raise the baby. Just don't go with him. So I just said, I just can't do that. So the same thing, they were not pleased. Sometimes I had to hide from my family to pray. Sometimes I had to, in Ramadan, for example, my older brother would come in. Why Lucy's not eating? My mom was, she's just not hungry. But I was fasting, right? So things like that, waking up early in the morning to pray. And all of these things there were hardships. Avoiding the pork. Pork is a big thing in my country. Most of everything has pork. So I had to, why you're not eating this? Why you're not drinking? Why, when we go to a family function, you don't want to have a, glass of wine or a drink or something? And I always have to explain. And it's come on, he's not here. He's not going to say anything, or we're not going to say anything. Everything will be fine. So it was very hard because they didn't take it seriously. They just thought it was just something that was going to pass and then that's it. And my aunt one time, she told me that she saw a talk show and there was these Muslim girls. And they were wearing long, like abaya, and the cover. And then she told my mom, she's next time we see Lucy, we're just going to see her like that, all covered and submitted, So it was not taken well. It took a long time and I guess a very strong will from us to make them, think that this is for real, that this is something we are going to do. Christmas was very hard. We used to go visit my parents. Once I moved here, we used to visit them in Christmas time. And one Christmas, like I was telling you before, the youngest child is the one that places the baby Jesus. At that time, my older one was the little one. So my mom told me, why don't Samiha puts the baby? I said, she can't. Why not? I said, because she can, because we're not Christians, because we're not Catholics, so we don't celebrate this, that. Yeah, but it's, just as a symbol, please, just. I said, no, we're not going to do that. So these things were heartbreaking for my parents because they are, all these traditions and we're breaking them. So it was not taken very, very, very good in the beginning. But once I moved here and my mom came within the first year, the first thing she asked me, I want to see your marriage license. That's what she asked me. I want to see that his word is there and that, you're married, legally married. So then I show her, okay. So now it was legal for them. That was okay now. So she came to check that everything that he had offered was there, that I was a free woman to go wherever I wanted to, and that I was not beaten up, and that we were living okay. And so, yeah, it was not taken very good in the beginning, yeah. What my parents liked the most when I became Muslim, like I said, I was a party girl. I used to go parties, and I used to go with my friends and with my cousins. And when you're 18 and you're working, you're kind of paying for it yourself, you don't take account too much of what your parents are saying anymore. You're stupid. And so I think what they liked the most was the fact that everything changed once I became Muslim and I was married, because I was not going partying anymore, so I was staying in the house and I was not drinking, and I was dedicated to my studies. So I changed. Everything changed. I was more kind to them. My mouth got a filter. because I learned that your parents, whether Muslim or not, they're your parents, and you have to respect them. So that's one thing that really struck me, that I had been so disrespectful at times with my parents. So I think that all of those things towards my family, they embraced, they liked it. So that was something positive that came from it. One of my brothers was having issues with his wife, and his wife has said things to my mom. And she said to me, you can come to my house anytime. But I said, look, you are mistreating my mom. Coming to your house is like saying that what you're doing is okay. So I'm not coming to your house. Because my mom is my mom, and I have to respect her. So when I became Muslim, I was still back home, and I met only 2 families that were Muslim. One person from Morocco. He was married to a Mexican, and a Pakistani family. So they were very nice. They taught me religion. They taught me, how to, about Islam, the rules and everything. Everything changed when I moved to the U.S. And I learned from this Moroccan brother. He told me when he was teaching me, because he taught me some Arabic, so how to read the surahs and stuff like that. And he said to me, Lucy, never ever follow the Muslim. Always follow Quran and Sunnah. Because Muslims, we are all people. We are all humans and make mistakes. You never follow the Muslim, you follow the Quran and the Sunnah. When I moved to this country, I learned that was true. Because Islam is so diverse. There's people from all over the world that are Muslims and bring with them their culture. So that was one thing that I learned about Muslims, that you have to be open-minded to understand that culture, it comes with it, and it's hard for a lot of people to separate that, the culture and religion. In our case, as converts, we just learn to be Muslims. We have to leave our culture behind, because it's the same thing. Our culture is tied to the religion. So when we leave the religion, we leave the culture. So we're learning to, what I told my husband was, let's make of our family with the best thing of your culture, the best thing of my culture, and make it into a Muslim family. So that's, yeah. What I definitely thought that Islam is not what the news portrayed. Muslims are not what the news portrayed or movies portrayed. They always put them as the bad guys, or the illiterate ones, the ones that don't know anything or don't speak English or run gas stations, and that's not true. And when I came to the U.S., I found very smart people. I found a good community. Every community has its faults, but I learned that Islam is actually a peace religion, not a hateful religion. And that the God, Allah, is a good God. And it will give you so many chances before it gives you the bad point. My religion, my ex-religion wasn't like that. You do bad, that's bad. You do good, maybe, it might be good. But in Islam, Allah gives you so much chances to make it up, to ask for forgiveness. So yeah, I did learn that for me, everything changed. The sky got more blue for me. I remember we went to the beach at one point when I was just convert, and then I just realized how powerful Allah is, and how wonderful He is with us. And when we were on the beach, we were looking at the sundown, and the waves were coming. And my husband told me a story. He said, you know that the sea asks Allah every day, can I take down everybody? Can I just move? Because, what does this stop the sea from coming more than the seashore, right? Nothing. So it says that the sea asks Allah every day, can I move over? Can I move over? And Allah always says no. It's no. And, all of these stories that He tells me about the religion, and they really hit me, because then I can see how blessed as human beings we are. Whether we're ignorant of Islam or not, we're very blessed just by living in here, and how much Allah loves us, that with just splits of a second He can destroy everything. But like I said, He loves us so much that, like, my view for everything has changed. The sunset, the sundown, the water we drink, the floor we step in, the way life grows, everything changed. And that's why when I moved to the U.S., I decided to continue into the medical field. So I went into nursing school. And the way I treat patients, it has to do with the way I'm a Muslim. Because if I don't treat that patient good, or I leave him in a bad situation, or I don't give the right medication, then that is a bad deed for me. The person might not know anything, but for me, it's written in my book of deeds, right? If I know that I did something wrong and I don't fix it, that's going to be count on my book of deeds. So that did change when I became Muslim. I think many Muslim countries and many Muslims in the U.S. are afraid of saying who they are, what they are, and who they worship. And I think that's the problem, because when you're afraid, then you cannot stand out. I stand out. I go to, like I told you, I was a medical school, nursing school, and I went to nursing school with my hijab, with my long sleeve and my scrubs. I went into a hospital where there's no Muslims. There's only, it's like more like a country hospital. So there's no Muslims in my class. I'm the only Muslim. And it was very easy for me just to take off my hijab and just go to school and just be as everybody else. But for me, this is dawah. Just the fact of wearing my hijab is dawah. I remember the first day I came to the school, the people that were training us for the computers and everything brought pizza for everybody. They brought cheese pizza and pepperoni pizza. So everybody ate. I went to get a piece of pizza, and the cheese pizza was gone. So I'm like, okay, well, I got something to eat. I didn't make a fuss, because that's something I don't like to do. I don't like to, oh, why you didn't give me this, why you didn't save anything. Oh, and so one of the instructors saw me, and he said, Lucy, you're not going to have a pizza? I'm like, I don't eat the pepperoni because it's pork, and the cheese pizza is finished. So she stand in front of the class and asked, does anybody has an extra cheese pizza? Because she is not eating pork and she didn't get to have one. So one of the guys gave me a piece of pizza that was cheese. And then everybody started, later on through the school, they started asking me, why you don't eat pork, why? So this is dawah. And I think that when people know about Islam and break the mold that they have in their head about women being illiterate, Muslim being, not smart people, then, then they start changing. And another problem that there's in Islamic world and the Muslim community is that even converts and born Muslims, sometimes they think that what they're doing is the correct way. So they're very easy, or I will say we are very easy to be judged. You're not praying like that. Oh, sister, you cannot wear jeans in the masjid. Sister, your hijab is wrong. When you start judging, then you divide. And I think that's what's happening in Middle East. In the Middle East, an example, Iran and Iraq. They're both Muslim countries, but they point fingers to each other to what they're doing wrong, and that divides. Sunnis and Shias, they both worship Allah. They might follow somebody else, but they point fingers to each other of what they're doing wrong, instead of uniting and work towards a better image of the Muslim and Islam. Look at the pictures they show in the news. That's why I don't watch the news anymore, because the only pictures they show is of women screaming, of women being all totally covered, women that they are being beaten or executed because they show their toenail. Those are the pictures that they have. We need to come out. Muslims need to come out of the safety of the Muslim community and go to a non-Muslim community and spread the word without preaching. Because you cannot come and tell somebody, oh, my religion is the best. Well, just by telling me that your religion is the best, you're wrong, because you're being arrogant. So you're showing arrogance already before you're even giving your dawah. So how you give dawah? By example. That's how the Prophet did it, just by example. And you don't make people say things or do things. Like when people come to my house, I have non-Muslim friends. They come to my house and they tell me, Lucy, should I cover my head? Should I, wear something special? I said, no, you just come, yours, you, and then they learn, that you are not what they see in the news or they hear about. You're just a normal person, just like everybody else. So a lot of friends tell me, you are not the mold Muslim. I said, well, I'm a hybrid. That's what I'm a hybrid Muslim, because I'm not born Muslim, so I have the Western ideas, but I think that I have the Islamic essence of what Islam is, not mixed with culture. So that's what I think. I think just Muslims need to come out of their shell and stop trying to make everybody Muslim by force and just by example. So what I will say to people that are in Ramadan and you're getting to that point where your fast is so hard and you're so thirsty, just think of the blessings that fasting brings. I cannot fast. I get to see my husband fast, my girls, they fast. And when I break the fast with them, I feel that it's not counting for me. So feel blessed that you're fasting, because that's something that is going to count on the day of judgment. Me, I don't know, maybe Allah will give me blessing from another side, but enjoy your the beginning of your fast and enjoy the end of your fast, and give to other people, because I believe that when you give to other people, when they come to it with you, the blessing is bigger. So I know that in the Muslim countries, is a big deal, Ramadan, right? But also not excess is too good. So moderate and then just enjoy Ramadan. You know, it's the best time of the year. And I wish me living in America, I wish we could have the same way of parties that, you know, the special time that it is in Muslim countries. We don't have that. Our neighbors are not Muslims, so we don't go house to eat sweets and chat with people and, you know, do all of those fun things. We don't do it. Eid day, if it falls on weekday, after the prayer, if you get to go to the prayer, then you have to go to work. In a Muslim country, it's off. It's vacation. It's just to have fun, go and eat and do whatever you want to do. For us, it's not. Kids going back to school right after the prayer. You know, it's not. Sometimes it's not a fun day. It's not a fun thing. So you have the chance in other countries like Turkey, like you know, Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh. It's a big deal. Enjoy it. And when you get tired, when you finish your day, it's like, oh my God, another day tomorrow. We have to, you know, bring people to the house. Just enjoy, because we don't get to do that. We don't get to hear the salah, you know, hear the adhan every day. We don't get to do all of those things. So it'll be awesome for us to do something like that. For me, I have never experienced that in another country, so that will be nice. So enjoy Ramadan, enjoy Eid, and eat and make a lot of dua.